Welcome to Viewing and Reviewing, where I pull older movies off the shelf, watch them, and let you know if I believe they're worth your time to watch or not. I'm Bobby T, your online video store clerk, and I'll be searching through my VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray collection to find titles that I think may be interesting to review. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing 2014's Edge of Tomorrow. That's Edge of Tomorrow, not Live, Die, Repeat. It's directed by Doug Liman and starring Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, Brendan Gleason, and Bill Paxton. Let me read you the Blu-ray cover. An alien race, undefeatable by any existing military unit, has launched a relentless attack on Earth, and Major William Cage, Tom Cruise, finds himself dropped into a suicide mission. Killed within minutes, Cage is thrown into a time loop, forced to live out the same brutal combat over and over, fighting and dying again and again. Training alongside Rita Vrataski, Emily Blunt, his skills slowly evolve, and each battle moves them one step closer to defeating the enemy in this intense action thriller. Now, this was a bit of a surprise when I first discovered it back in 2015. I never heard of it coming out, which is very odd for a Tom Cruise mega movie. It just appeared and disappeared almost as fast. And when it was released on Blu-ray, it had the weird distinction, like the cover that I just spoke about, that says Live, Die, Repeat are in huge letters, while the actual name of the movie, Edge of Tomorrow, is barely seen in the far corner. It was bonkers marketing, and I'm sure that had everyone confused. What isn't confusing, though, is how visually awesome this film is, as represented by the trailer that you're watching right now, especially in the 3D version I have here. Now, I first saw this in regular 2D at home, and it was an excellent film. But in 3D, I was blown away. I own over 80 3D Blu-rays, and without a doubt, this is in my top 10 3D Blu-rays in my collection. It's that spectacular. But just because something has incredible special effects does not make it a good movie. The case in point would be Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. What's so special about this film is actually the story. Now, there are lots of Groundhog Day comparisons because that was the movie that started it all when it comes to living and reliving every day over and over into oblivion. Harold Ramis doesn't get nearly enough credit for coming up with such a fresh and compelling looped storyline. I even wrote a screenplay myself with a similar construct. But most films like this can get old really fast unless you have an interesting story played by talented actors. In this film, whether you love him or hate him, Tom Cruise plays a cowardly PR officer in the army that gets shanghaied into a suicide mission against an unbeatable force that literally kills him the moment he lands on the beachhead. However, Cruise was killed by a special enemy that enables him to relive his life over and over for every time he gets killed. He meets Uber soldier Emily Blunt, who's seen it all and knows it all, but even she is killed on the beachhead as the humans are destroyed. Until tomorrow, when Cruise appears again in a fog and has to learn to grow a backbone and actually learn to fight like a real soldier. It's a clever plot device that never seems to get old. And just like when Bill Murray would deviate slightly every day in Groundhog Day, Cruise seizes the opportunity and he starts learning not only how to survive, but how to become as lethal weapon as anybody out there, until he realizes there's more to the attacks than originally believed. Now, what makes this film so special is not just the two all-star leads, but the all-star supporting characters as well. Bill Paxton as the asshole drill sergeant that puts Cruise into war and is appropriately all business and hilarious depending on the day. Brendan Gleason as the Allied 5-star general, who is a wonderful actor and one of my new favorites now, is not only believable, but he's borderline terrifying in his quiet portrayal of a no-nonsense leader in the middle of the war to end all wars. Cruise's squad, whom we get to meet over and over again, build individual backstories, so by the end of the film, we know who each of them are as well, and we care about what happens to them. But the special effects of all the mimic aliens are second to none. My understanding when they were storyboarding this film was they struggled to find something new that people hadn't seen before that would be intelligent, beautiful, terrifying, and an army of them needed to have individual personalities yet work flawlessly as a unit. It was a high bar, and I believe the monster creators hit a home run here. So, my overall report card of the film, it looks like this. Does it stand the test of time? Well, this was filmed in 2014, so it's a bit of a cheat. but this is an A+. But I also will go out on a limb here and I'll say with the story, special effects, and overall quality of production, this film has the ability to stand the test of time for the next 50 years as well. The story. This is a solid A-. Like I said before, this is Groundhog Day on a futuristic battlefield. Those are huge shoes to fill that can go really right, like in Source Code, or become weird, like Looper, which is a good film, but the time travel boggles the mind. However, this film was masterfully written. In Edge of Tomorrow, a coward with zero combat experience is forced onto a beachhead only to die in battle. I mean, first 15 minutes, it's over. But he's stuck in a loop from when he's in Shanghai until his next death. Rinse, repeat. Insert a bunch of badass soldiers who at first don't believe what's happening, then once they're all convinced, do their darndest to destroy the enemy before they all die forever for real. The acting is superb, and the story's even better. The cast. Okay, it's an A+ cast. Tom Cruise actually plays against his normal Top Gun Maverick showboat and plays a distinct coward, and he pulls it off. Emily Blunt, though, was the huge surprise. I mean, who knew Mary Poppins could become a believable Terminator in fatigues? Watching her running around with a giant battle axe is intimidating, and it's all kinds of sexy, which was totally the point, so don't flame me for being sexist here. The remaining cast from top to bottom are perfection. I can literally say there is not a single weak point, and I can't say that about many movies. The cinematography. To be honest, a whole lot of this film is green screen, so it's kind of hard to screw that up. But that being said, the rest of the film looks and sounds exactly like a military movie should. You saw the trailer. This is another home run, A+. Again, it could have been done all kinds of wrong, like in The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, which was also from the year 2014, by the way. But if anyone loved the cult classic from 1997 called Starship Troopers, this is the film that Starship Troopers dreamed of being. Same theme with much better special effects and without the cheese factor. The music. All right, I can hear everyone out there that's saying enough of the A+. And you're right. So here's where they failed a little. They only got an A because there really isn't a soundtrack as much as just an excellent score that fit every single scene. If this was the misstep, I'm sure the director would be proud. So, based on the above scores, is it any wonder I have it in my top 50 movies of all time? I mean, this is a 9 or a 9.25 pretty much any day of the week. A-. And it may not be the perfect movie as an action film, but it deserves to be thought of in that realm, for real. And the beauty of a looped storyline is that you can watch it over and over and always see something new. When you watch as many films as I do, where once you see it, there's nothing left to see, that's what makes this film so much fun. You can feel like a character yourself experiencing Tom Cruise's misery and ultimate mastery of the world around him. There have been rumors of a sequel to this film since its release date, but so far, those are only rumors and no shooting date has been set as of this recording. Now, I guess we can only have one loop in our lifetimes, but shame on the marketing people for screwing this cover up to the public. This film deserves to be remembered as a true classic. In 3D, it's a phenomenon. I'm thankful to have discovered it in 2015, and I hope you will love it as much as I do if you give it a chance. So, here are a few other recommendations in the time loop genre that are not named Groundhog Day, since it was the original and probably is still the best. First one, the aforementioned Source Code. This is the story of a soldier who's locked in an experimental capsule where he's sent back over and over again by a shadow government agency for an 8-minute stretch to track down the bomber on a passenger train in downtown Chicago before he gets blown up in the train and has to do it all over again. However, he has amnesia and doesn't understand why he's there or what the source code is, so he has to uncover that sinister plot on top of the bombing. It's at breakneck pace, mostly, in real time, yet it never seems rushed to tell a captivating story. It's really an excellent forgotten film. Second is Boss Level, which I wasn't expecting to like nearly as much as I did. This is the manic-paced, bloody, violent story of a former Special Forces soldier whose ex-wife is working on a top-secret project for some bad guys led by the evil Mel Gibson in a beard, where our hero gets killed hundreds of times before he can uncover what's behind all the murder and mayhem that ultimately blows up the earth. unless he can keep from getting killed long enough to solve that mystery. And lastly, Deja Vu, a forgotten film that's awesome. When a ferry is bombed in New Orleans by a serial bomber, Denzel Washington stumbles onto a government agency using experimental surveillance equipment that allows him to jump back in time to gather clues to the identity of the killer. Unfortunately, one of the victims being surveilled is also a beautiful woman whom Denzel gets infatuated with and sends him down a dangerous path to save her and the ferry before he becomes a victim himself. It's a very clever storyline with a wonderful cast. Well, that's it for Edge of Tomorrow. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click the like button below. If you want to keep up to date on my future reviews, please click on the subscribe button below. If you want to purchase Edge of Tomorrow on Blu-ray, and if you have the ability to watch 3D Blu-ray, buy that one if you can. Or if you wish to purchase any of the other titles I've mentioned earlier, please follow the Amazon links below. And if you have any suggestions for movies you'd like me to review, please leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, be sure to help others in need because it's always the right thing to do. Have a great week.